Good morning, yogis. Welcome to 6 a.m. deep stretch class, or as I like to say it, daily date with couch stretch. Thank you for joining us this morning, for stepping onto your mat to spend some time just peeling away the layers of tension that tend to collect in our body. These long, slow held stretches are such a beautiful remedy for all of the places that we hold the stress and strain that life brings to us. And that is just the nature of life. We will never be stress-free. In fact, we wouldn't want to be stress-free, because if we didn't have any stress, there would be no motivation. We have an optimal curve of stress. So a little bit of stress actually fires us up and brings us into finding new ways forward, into being inventive. They say that the mother of invention is necessity. So in these times, we are going to feel that there is turbulation, that there is stimulation, but with these nourishing practices, we just bring balance back in, and then we are level and grounded to make the most of every opportunity. I say these things so you'll forgive me when we come and do couch stretch, but we're actually going to start down the floor with a little spinal twist to warm up the body. A nice little easy release out for the shoulders. Before we do that, grab a hold of a cushion, maybe elevate the seat for a moment. We'll release out through the neck before we come into the shoulders, because sometimes during the night we can build up some tension or if we've been on our devices a lot, we get collection of tension right there at the back of the neck. So take a few shoulder rolls. I love to roll the shoulders because it just reminds the diaphragm how to breathe. When the shoulders come down the back and we lift up the chest, there's all that space in the lungs, that capacity of our rib cage literally expands. So once you've done that a few times and you can find that nice tall seat, gently brace into the core, engage the glutes towards the floor, connect down through the sit bones, lift up just gently through the pelvic floor, that little gathering up of energy that's going to bring you into presence and connection. And we'll begin by dropping the right ear towards the right shoulder. We'll start nice and soft, just continuing to lift up through the heart, gently brace the abdominals. And then maybe you want to take that a little bit more and just open that left hand out to the side and guide it back. Oh, now that is magic in itself. The fingertips can find the floor if you want. You can just rest them down here. We'll change in a moment. We'll give it a few slow breaths in and out. In and out. And from here, we're going to swing that right hand behind and just open up the shoulder a little bit more. No, we're not. We're going to bring the right hand all the way up and just gently, like you're shaving the back of your head, slide, slide, slide. Grab a hold of the little bony protuberances down at the hairline. Tuck your chin towards your chest and guide your chin down. You're not pulling, you're just encouraging. Bring your left hand up nice and high. Bend into the elbow and reach the fingers like you're trying to touch the space in between your shoulder blades. Just gently gather your ribs in. You'll notice the ribs want to pop open. And breathe. This is a deeper stretch. Just adding in elements of shoulders and neck. Important to keep the softness in the face and give it a few breaths just for the stretch to really take a hold. I always find that when I stretch out the neck, my head feels more balanced on that wobbly little stick of a neck. Just breathe. In and out. In and out. Beautiful. And maybe just for a moment, just look up. Whoa. Come back to center. Take that hand around. Bring your head to center. Just cup your fingers into a little claw shape and just turn the head towards the left. It's a little myofascial release. So you're just using your fingers as a pressure point, and as you turn the head, you'll just move the muscle particularly that tight ligament that attaches the head and the neck together. Yeah, you'll find it. You know it. We've got a little stretch of the shoulder going on too. Alright, come all the way back to center. Let your right hand come down, find the floor. Now drop the left ear down. The fingertips can stay on the floor and they can support the shoulder, just resting on the thigh. Then I'll lift the hand up and slowly draw it back. Or maybe you take a few breaths here and you just ease your way in. Remember, it takes about 6 seconds for that initial layer of resistance to even dissipate. Ribs in. Slow breaths, hand presses, ear drops. Gentle collection of the ribs towards the midline of the body. And easy, level face. And that left hand behind for a moment and just open up the shoulder a little bit more. If you reach that right hand back, you'll feel a deepening expression of the stretch. I always find there's that little moment the ribs pop open. I lose that connection through the core and through that gentle engagement of the pelvic floor. Just reach down, engage the glutes, and think of lifting all the way up. Think of a jellyfish swimming. I shouldn't make that noise. Don't do sound effects, Katie. Oh dear. All right. Let's shave the head. So that left hand's going to come all the way up, like you're shaving your head, and scooping around and grabbing the little bony protuberances down at the base of the neck. Right hand comes all the way up high to the sky. We bend into the elbow and we just reach down like we're scratching the place in between the shoulder blades. The ribs are in, the chin is soft, the breath is flowing in and out. In and out. Beautiful. For 5 and 4, 3 and 2 and 1. Just lift the head up for a moment. Travel slow, not here to stress the neck. Open those collarbones wide. Beautiful. Back to center, and then just cup a hold and just get your fingers into a little claw shape. Scoop them into that part of the neck. Bring the hand down, just turn your head towards the right and back towards the center. And 2 more times, just turn the head and back to center. Turn the head back to center. 2 more times, turn the head and center. Really scoop those fingers under there, turn the head and back to center. Hands behind, round into your spine. Feels so nice as you tuck the chin. The fingers lace in the back of the head. There's a hollowing of the front body. As you inhale, there's a lifting up, there's an opening of the elbows, there's a letting of the head drop back into the hands as you expand out through the chest and elevate the chin. Are you ready to round and curl, scooping everything in? Beautiful. Round, round, round. As you inhale, there's a floating, a lifting, and a flowering of that heart space. Head falls back to be caught in the basket of the hands. One more time, a rounding and a curling, a tucking in, elbows towards knees. And an inhale, a floating and expansion, and the head falls all the way back. All right, level yourself up. Let's come down to the floor and let's do that little spinal twist that I promised we'd begin with. I'm just going to move the microphone out of the way because it tends to get squished. All right, coming all the way down. maybe we'll pause just for a moment and take a threading the needle. I like to prepare the body before I come into deeper stretches, just to make sure it's going to get the most out of it and it's the safest way to come in. So engage into the core, lift your right hand up. As you exhale, just thread that right hand all the way down. So we're starting with an upper body twist, and then we'll take the lower body twist. Left hand just comes out to the side. I'm going to keep it there today. I'm not going to bring it up onto the back, because the intention here with the left hand, as you bring the weight into the inner part of the hand, is to press us onto that right shoulder, left shoulder from the ear. But you can open the leg out to the side if you want a little bit more, and find a gate pose just to begin to stretch out through the inner thigh. So there is a variation that you can take here. And you're just going to breathe and relax. If your foot doesn't like that shape, you can take it out so the heel and the toes are aligned. My hips are definitely feeling that as I try and turn my toes and my heels into one line. Hello leg, hello hip. You're just going to breathe into whatever is happening in your body today. And if the leg doesn't turn all the way, you've got the intention. You're gently directing your body into the shape that you want it to go, but it may not happen today. Often, like a flower blooming, it is a process. It takes time. Day by day, there's a gradual change and a shift until the bud is fully opened. We've got to be like that with our body. You can't force a flower to bloom. You just peel off all its petals. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Engage with the core, lift that leg up, direct it back in. I'm just going to scooch around so you can see me on the other side. Lift the right hand up, give it a shake, bring the fingertips onto the shoulders and just release out to that shoulder joint with some rotations. And then we'll prepare for the second side. So to do this again, knees underneath hips, preparing the body. We'll take an inhale as we reach the left hand up. Open up and just expand across the chest. As you exhale, melt down towards the floor. Swing the hand all the way down and get your left ear and your left shoulder to kiss the mat. Draw the navel in, press into the right hand. Drop that right shoulder from the ear. Notice if any part of the body is tensing up here, and just enjoy that rotation. It's giving you a nice little twist and release in those muscles of the back. We'll open the right leg out to the side, so you can have it set up like you're doing a warrior 2 pose or a gate pose, or you can turn your toes out. There's a different feel in the hips depending on what shape you take. I like to take the one that my body is craving the most. So if I come here and my body says, that's not really doing much for me today, I'll turn the foot out and try that other variation. As long as it's okay for your body. If you've got pulling at your knees, we don't stretch the knees so much. Sometimes we stretch the ligaments around the knees, but we're not trying to stretch the knees. So if that's where the pulling is, that's probably not the variation for you today. Pull those hips back, gather the navel in, and then just let your body sink as you slow your breath down. In and out. In and out. In and out. Beautiful work. Keep that breath flowing and moving. And then we'll draw the foot back in. And bring the hand down and lift all the way up. Walking the hands forward. Let's take a little puppy pose. So the hands will come out. We'll melt the heart down towards the floor. Chin towards the mat. If you broaden out the span of your shoulders, that will open up those arms a little bit more. And it'll make more room so the shoulders won't be under so much strain. Or if you bring the arms closer together, it'll be a little bit more intense. You can bring the forehead down if the neck doesn't like that position. But sometimes it's nice to open up the throat and strengthen into the back of the neck. If you think about how much we fold that head forward. Navel in, hips back, and just breathe. Stay with it. 4, 3, and 2, and 1. When you're ready, we'll slowly roll it forward, walk the knees in, and take a few cat-cows. Free everything up, spread those hands nice and wide. I like to flip the palms sometimes just to give the wrists a little stretch as I take the cat-cows. Tuck the chin, curl everything in, let the heart melt, slide the shoulder blades together, lift the heart up, nice little back bending sequence. Alright, now we're ready. And all this preparation means you might be able to take the deeper variation of the stretch. I'll give you 2 options here. So I'm going to come down into the belly and I'm going to extend that left arm out. Now the easier option, I'm going to swing so you can see me here. The easier option is to have the left hand with your thumb aligned with your shoulder. You want your arm straight. If it's down here or up here, you're not going to get the stretch the way that we want it to. So have it in a straight line. This is a little bit easier. We're going to open up the muscles of the chest, particularly pec minor. Maybe you want to bring that arm to 90 degrees. Again, elbow aligns with the shoulder, so just make sure that the elbow is not out some skewiffy angle. Now this is a little bit more intense. Now take your right ear and pop it down. So you've got right elbow out, right ear. Did I say left before? Fingertips of the left hand come in next to the shoulder. Kick the left heel into the bottom. Pressing into the left hand to give you some lift. Float those left toes up and over. We're going to touch them all the way down and find the floor here. There's a nice cracking noise through the low spine. This is a beautiful one to rebalance the hips, and I find it really good for the sacrum. If you want a little even more, stretch that leg out. And feel that deepens the twist. You're just going to find the variation that works for your body, and then you're going to hover here and breathe. So we're trying to find a grounding point, so maybe toe to the floor, or maybe you're putting something down if you can't quite get that foot all the way there. But you've also got that right arm as a grounding point. Let the crown be long so the neck is not compressed in any uncomfortable position, and then just continue to breathe as you experience the pose. So we'll take both sides facing one direction so you see the different shapes from the front and the back line of the body. That is the intention of this release. Let's fill up the lungs with each breath. As you exhale, feel the body drop down and melt into the earth. A really lovely way to relax and release all the muscles of the body. In and out. In and out. 4, 3, and 2. And 1. Draw the navel in, slowly swing yourself all the way back to center, and let's take it for the other side. So move the strap away, and you will need a strap later on when we do our hamstring stretch. We'll take the left hand all the way up, and we'll bring the left ear down to the floor. Now you might want to bring the right ear just for a moment and have a look that your thumb is and your elbow is in line with your shoulder, and you might want to bend it to 90 degrees, but I find often one side is a little bit harder than the other. If you think about it, you're usually one hand dominant, so right or left hand, so one shoulder is generally tighter than the other. Bring the right heel in and gently kick up and over as you land the toes down. Cover up your belly and just breathe here. So maybe a few moments, give it about 6 seconds before you go for straightening the leg, if that's your variation that you're going to take today. And that right hand is a leverage point. It's going to help you come out of the stretch at any point that you need to. Don't press it beyond your ability. So I feel that this time that the right leg isn't going to straighten, and that is a restriction right up around the sacrum, particularly as we work towards things like the psoas muscle, the iliacus, that get really tight and responsive to stress, or if you've been doing biking or walking and you've got an imbalance with the way that you're rocking your hips, we can agitate it. Often too, when we sit in a chair, we spend most of our time weighting down into one sit bone more than the other. It's crazy. Just like we tend to balance our weight on one leg more than the other. So balancing poses in yoga are really good, or single leg work in the gym is wonderful for rebalancing. I like the Pilates side leg series for just making sure that you're equally activating your glutes and your legs. But anything that is single leg work is going to be super beneficial for restoring balance, because we just don't know we're doing it. We're too busy drinking coffee, talking to our friends, or completing the work assignments that we have throughout the day. It's really difficult to be conscious 100% of the time. I certainly know that even when I come into meditation practice and I've got my eyes closed and it's all about focus and centering, I have to constantly keep redirecting the mind back to the present moment. So it's no wonder that we have these little unconscious patterns in our body. That's okay. We just correct them with moments of intentional movement. For some reason, time always moves differently on the tight side, right? Which is why I use a timer when we come up to couch stretch and for the hamstring release, because sometimes time can be much more malleable than we think. Our perception isn't actually an accurate representation of reality. Let's do another 3 here, and 2, and 1. Come all the way back. Whoa, roll back to center. And take some time as you bring the hands in, roll up. Now, I think we forgot to do it before with one side of the shoulder roll. So if any side you forgot to take those little rotations around, like an aeroplane propeller. And then just shake loose that neck. I like to move head and hips in opposite directions and just stir it all around. Loosen up any bits that have been stuck. As we stretch, we release the restrictions, and then we're like just getting everything flowing and moving again, so your body is fluid and is able to just glide through the day. Okie dokie, we've put it off long enough. Come over, grab a wall. You might need some books or something to help you get up if you've got tension in that back, or you've got particularly tight quads. And you'll probably need something for underneath your knee, because this one's pretty intense on the old knee, particularly if you're like me and you have wooden floorboards in your home. So scooch your way over to the wall. Hopefully you can still see me in the frame here. I might just scooch over. Hello, pretty candles. I'll try not to set my hair on fire. It's always good. Right leg to the wall today. We'll start with the right leg. Get your toes and your heels in a line. Bring your left leg in like you're setting up for low lunge, and have a 90-degree angling. I'm going to scooch my mat underneath just so I'm not standing on a hard wooden floor, which isn't always great for the feet. And lift all the way up. Haha. Now, let's scooch this on as we do this series of stretches. We're active in these stretches, so we're going to push the right hip forward. As we anchor the left hip back, we're going to use the core to elevate that upper chest. So think of pressing back through the hip and then rebounding up through the core. All right, ooh. Now, watch if you're sliding away from the wall. Don't polish your floorboards before you do this class. Come on, and maybe use a less slippery surface than a pillow. There we go. I just wanted to make you do this side longer. All right, once you're up there, whew. Keeping it real, yogis, keeping it real. Let's hold the stretch. So right hip forward, left hip back, lifting up. Just getting the head seated, the shoulders up and the collarbones broad, and then working with breath. We'll come come into a little 4-part breathing sequence here. You just calm the mind. I love any breath retention work. I find it super calming because it's rhythmic in nature, and rhythm soothes our nervous system. So if you're feeling like that little agitation that comes up from taking a deep release into a tight part of your body, finding pranayama or a breathing technique can be really restorative for the peace of the mind. So we're going to breathe in for 4, hold the breath for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold out for 4. Are you ready? Let's breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. Just let your breath resume its natural pattern and feel the shift that comes. Square breathing is one of my favorites and a beautiful one to teach to children because it's so easy to memorize. Let's come forward into the next variation of our stretch. So now we're going to press the pelvis down towards the floor, and we've still got the feet hip distance apart. Now we're lengthening the stance. You might need blocks or something for the hands, or you might want to bring the hands. I'm going to come into little fists here to make my arms a little bit longer. And then same thing, when we're lengthening out the back here, so thinking of stretching those muscles either side of the spine. This isn't our lizard lunge, it's a different variation, so it's a low lunge. Or if you're thinking about this in yin yoga, this would be our high flying dragon variation. You can have the hands up, but I like to be elongated in this one, like a lizard in the sun stretching its back. Just because we are upright in our couch stretch. So the stretch that we just did there is called couch stretch, and hopefully for you, there is a variation called super couch. We'll work to that. And we'll just breathe and be. Feeling the slow exchange of breath in and out. In and out. In and out. Just rebalancing breath here. Nice moment just to let the mind chew over anything that's been stewing on. So sometimes it's nice to process it. We don't want to get spiraled or entrapped by the thoughts. But also if we try and resist them and push them away, that's not effective either. So if I say to you, don't think of a pink flamingo, where does your mind automatically go? To the pink flamingo. It happens to me all the time when I look at people and I'm like, don't forget their name. Instantly, their name is gone from my mind. So it's about not resisting, acknowledging the thought, just observing it, maybe identifying the story. Hello, don't forget your name. Here we go again. And then can you let it go having just acknowledged it? Maybe replace it with a new thought. And one of my favorite questions myself is, who would I be without this thought? And usually it's someone much, much happier. Let's take the foot out towards the side. So open up the span of the hips, turn the toes out. I know I'm falling out of view of the camera here. and then bring the elbows down to the floor if that's available. So just take a quick little look-see and make sure that your knee and your ankle are on that singular line, and then your toes are radiating out to the side. So you're on the blade edge of the foot, and then if you can, level up across that front body. So we're coming into our lizard lunge. It's a really beautiful one for the outer hip, and yes, we do this one every single time. Now you've got the option of taking that right arm across and turning this one into a twisted variation, and even grabbing that back foot to come to the full expression of the pose. I'm a huge fan of lizard lunge twist because it gives you that little rotation through the spine. But as long as the neck's not getting tense, sometimes I feel that the jaw is trying to take over the work of the pose, and you might just want to come in for a moment and then come out. In Yin Yoga, we embody stillness. In our deep stretch, I'm a little bit more forgiving. I'm just going to breathe and twist and turn and melt the hips down. And the great thing again at being at home is you can say whatever you want to me and I won't hear you. So this could be the time that you are very much communicating your sensations in this pose or the thoughts in your mind. It's not uncommon to have things like anger or sadness come up when you stretch. People are often surprised, like, I stretched and I feel so angry. And it's like, yeah, that's just the releasing out. Whatever it was that collected that tension in your body, as it passes through, sometimes there's like an echo of what was happening. Don't be surprised at that. And also the body is shedding. It's shedding layers. We're revealing what's underneath, those things that we haven't dealt with. Just see them more clearly. And that's great. Nothing is bad. We tend to demonize emotions, but anger isn't bad and sadness isn't bad. It's just what we do with them. There are really healthy ways to use these emotions. We don't have to let them control us. We can be aware of them and then choose with sensitivity and non-reactivity our response. When you release, we'll turn all the way back to center, and we'll bring the hands in. We'll hop that knee back. Oh, ho, 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 ho. And there's the rebound effect because we've been in those long holds. Give yourself a moment to breathe. Maybe grab a quick little drink here before we do the second side. I know that you can't wait and the excitement level is building for your left side. Hydrate. Stretching is still hard work. Don't think that you're not working here. I'm just like wondering what but the heart rate's still really low, but you're still stretching and bringing your muscles into a contraction. So you're not, stretching isn't easy. There's such a perception of like, oh, well, it's just stretching. No, not quite. Let's bring that right foot in. Set yourself up and then press up. As you pull the right hip back and you move the left hip forward, just square across the girdle of the pelvis. And there we are, ready to go. We're pushing ourselves back towards that wall. Just getting the toe and the heel aligned. Oh, there we go. I always find this really good to stretch the toes. So there's always one little toe there that's like obviously gripping, and when we come into yoga and we balance, or if we feel actually quite unsteady emotionally, if we're in a time of great uncertainty, it's amazing if you just notice what your feet do. They tend to grip the earth. It's an unconscious gesture. So you get a lot of tension collecting up in those toes because you're walking around all day. If you imagine that you walked around all day with your fingers like this, what would happen to your hand? You get a lot of tension in your fingers and your hand and your wrist. Kind of do that sometimes with our toes, is that we clench them and then we don't realize we're carrying that tightness. So having the toes stretched out here against the wall, I find really good just for rebalancing. Makes me think that we should do some toe stretching. Some of those ones that I seem to just forget about. And then we do them in Yin Yoga class and everyone groans. Like, oh great, toe stretch. We'll just breathe through this one. When we come into the next one, we'll just return to square breathing. So we'll swap it up a little one. Just let your natural breath move through you on this side. Keep pulling right hip back and left hip forward, so you feel like those little piston actions through the hip joints. Balance up across the shoulders. I do miss the mirror here. It makes me much more observant. So otherwise we're just relying on that sensation of where the body is in space, which if you've ever been dancing and you think you're nailing it, and you see a video of yourself, sometimes that perception can be slightly inaccurate. Alrighty, let's come down and we'll melt the pelvis to gravity as we walk the foot forward, 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 and let the body lengthen to the earth. Ground down through the foot. This is where we'll come into our kumbhaka, our breath retention. So we're going to breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold out. 2, 3, and 4. Beautiful. We'll come down into our final variation of the stretch now. Bring the foot out to the side. Continue to drop yourself down to find the earth. Turn the toes out and just roll to the outer side of the foot as you pull the hips back. Let yourself rest down. Let the head get in a nice balanced position as you pull the hips back, gather the navel in, gently draw forward through the crown. Maybe you want to take that variation with the lizard lunge twist. So to feel a little bit more balanced as you do that, just take that elbow across and we'll reach back and grab a hold with the left hand of the right foot, and then we'll rotate and twist the body to allow that to happen. So we're opening up across the span of the heart, looking towards the back shoulder, drawing the navel in and creating that spaciousness in the spine. And that's where we're just going to stay and breathe. Beautiful. And just finding that balancing exchange of breath in and out. In and out. Keep breathing. rotate a little bit more perhaps. So the face soften. Almost there, yogis. I'm going to give you a nice big delicious spinal twist to release, and then a nice hamstring stretch. Everybody loves a hamstring stretch, particularly the variation that we do on the floor with the legs elevated. Swing that hand all the way around, bring yourself back to center, gently peel yourself up and away. We'll swing the knee back. Oh, and crawl, maybe, to come forward and down towards the mat. Okay, now we're traveling for time. There's always so many stretches that I want to do, and we always run out of time. We do have time for a quick little Baddha Konasana before we hit the floor. Baddha Konasana is one of those everyday stretches. So I'm going to come to the side as I do this one, bring the soles of the feet in, just so you can see where the placement of my feet is and the shape of my back. So option to have the feet in that diamond shape out wide, or you can have them in. So you'll notice here there's a different intention. So as I bring them in nice and close, it's more of a stretch into the inner groins. As I take the feet out wide and fold forward, I feel it much more radiating out into the outer hips. So for me, this is the area of tension that I need to work on. But if you're really tight, you might, with having those knees up high, you might want to bring the feet in. We are going to be here for a while, so pick a posture that you can stay in. I like to thread up the zipper, which is to take the toes and just draw them in between each other. And this is really good for the arches of your feet. So don't worry, some days are stubborn particularly, and that's always a good indication to me that perhaps there's some tension in the feet and I need to grab a tennis ball and roll out a little bit. Might be some plantar fasciitis, building up here. We're going to hinge forward, we're going to sink down. You can have the spine in flexion. We'll treat this more like a yin pose, which means that we're less pedantic perhaps about having that long back. And we're just going to sink in and breathe. So balance yourself up and then allow yourself to drop down. And curl in through the chin if you want to. Nice maybe to find a little blanket to bridge the gap, or you can hot potato the hands so the forehead has something to rest on and you're not just dangling that watermelon of the head in space. And we'll sink in and we'll breathe. I'll pop the timer on. It's always nice to have the timer there because you can just close your eyes and let go now. And sometimes I'll just fall into quiet. And that's intentional to allow you just to focus on your breathing here. So we worked with breath retention. Now just notice how the breath naturally intuits the most nourishing way to feed your body. So just allow your breath to move in and out. In and out without any stress or strain. As you exhale, feel the melting of the body down towards the floor, the softening of the face, the opening of the ribs. As you breathe into the back body, with each inhalation there's a spreading. With each exhalation there's a softening and dropping down a little deeper. Now that we're down on the floor, more and more you'll feel the grounding element of earth just encouraging your bones to be heavy and really soothing and relaxing the nervous system. When you're ready, we'll gently peel ourselves up off the floor. Walk those hands in. Beautiful work. You can release out the feet. And let's come into the next part of our practice. So grab a hold of that strap for me. Let's find the floor. Grab a quick little drink if you'd like to, because we're not coming down. You can see that there's that beautiful day dawning all around us. Wow. A little bit of core work there. And then, as you scooch forward, we'll come all the way to the earth. Now, depending on what you need, I'm just going to move around the other way, so I'm not always constantly angling my head at a weird shape. You might need to keep one foot on the floor here to keep the balance of weight across the hips. So if having your legs in an L shape doesn't work for your hips or it stresses the muscles of your back, I want you to keep your other foot on the floor. We'll grab a hold of the strap. We'll begin with the right leg. So we'll elevate it all the way up and we'll let the hands slide down so we're not holding the strap at a strange angle. Bring your elbows in nice and close to your rib cage and then let your shoulders glide down away from your ears. Now you don't have to have a straight knee. We certainly aren't looking for hyperextension of the knee, so don't press too far into it. Spend a little moment and just notice the planting down of your hips on the floor. So can you feel your hips firmly connected? If you can maintain that connection and there's no strain on the muscles of the back, then extend that left leg out. If you can get it part of the way, you might want to prop up underneath the knee. So you might want to grab a hold of that pillow that I've kicked far too far away and have it there so you can still melt the back down. All right, think of a little bit of spaciousness. I like to just almost press that leg away for a moment or two. You can get a real hardness up around that hip capsule. So if you just kind of press for a moment and I'll just like create a little bit of space, and maybe to have that space you need to bring the foot down here, and that's okay. If you're jamming right into that hip capsule, you're going to strain your back, so that's okay. Maybe you're not going for the giant cheerleader kick today. Maybe you're going to have your foot a little bit further forward, and that's okay because we're not here to audition for Circus Soleil. We're just here to breathe and release. And maybe over time, think of directing and lengthening that right hip away from the right shoulder. So there's a space and an openness in the side body. Maybe over time, as you keep that shape, you can bring the foot in without jamming the bone into that hip socket. I put the timer on. This is a really good one to close your eyes and just relax. And to me, I love this pose because whenever I come into inversion, it's so nourishing. Particularly if you spend a lot of time on your feet, getting your legs up in the air is beautiful for your body. It helps reduce inflammation and tension. It's really restive for the heart. Heart's got less work to do, having to pump the blood up from the ankles towards the heart. So I like to spend a good 15 minutes every day just with those legs swung up on a wall, close the eyes and meditate in that position. It's really calming, really restive, and it's such a boost to energy. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big coffee fan as well. A shout out to my awesome peeps at the journey. I haven't been there enough lately. I'll get back there and drink some more coffee. But there are other ways that we can recharge. Just putting on a good song and dancing around, or sometimes giving yourself a moment of rest will do wonders for your creativity and your state of mind. And so often the body just needs a little bit, just a little moment to pause and breathe, or a little bit of movement or motion to wake it back up. And these are little gifts that we can give ourselves that cost nothing, particularly if you're spending more time at home and you're feeling that, we call it tanasic energy in yoga, so that heaviness that comes into the body. Just jump up and for 3 minutes put on a good song and dance. You don't have to do a massive aerobic workout, just that little bit of movement. You'll be amazed how much it restores a sense of vitality. And maybe you keep having a dance party in your house. It certainly happened to me before that one song isn't enough. And I just want to keep rocking and rolling. It's like once you come into this stretch, I feel like I could spend the entire day here just letting the hamstrings decompress. But we've got about 2 breaths and then we're going to swap it over to the other side. So before we come down, just circle out that ankle joint. You might want to move the strap away to give more freedom. And just circle it around in one direction and pause and circle it around in the other direction. And then we'll draw the knee into the chest, scoop the hands in, and as you try and touch your knee towards your armpit, ground down into the center of the left heel and feel that big release out for the hip flexor. You might want to bend the left knee. Sometimes I like to redo that just so I can really melt that belly by giving it a big squish with the thigh, big hug for the digestive system, and a big release out for that ascending colon. And then drop it down. And we'll take the second side. So reposition the hips. I often feel that they go for a little shift and a shuffle from the midline of the mat. Grab a hold of your strap and prepare your body for the second side. So let the left leg come all the way up. Slide the hands down. So it feels so good, right? This is why deep stretch is one of our most popular classes at the studio, because it becomes addictive. The sensations after you release all this tension from your body. And then from here, letting the foot come all the way out. If you can keep balanced here, as long as it's not straining on your back here. And maybe you're starting with the foot further away. Remember, we're here for time, so we can start at about 60%. And that's actually better. We need to give the body time to allow that shape to take place. And I like to just give a little massage, a little press into that space around the hip capsule. Just kind of decompress it because it can get so bound up, particularly if you're sitting a lot. You're kind of jamming those bones up into the hip socket. So a few moments just with the stretch a little bit easier can be super, super nourishing. And because we've got time, this is a freedom and a space happening, then we move a little bit deeper. I'm just going to turn the head the other way because I'll spend a great deal of time with my head in one direction. You can close down the eyes here. This is a lovely place just to work on long, slow, balanced breaths. Letting the eyes close and the mouth soften. Maybe gently part the lips. It will help relax your jaw. Let the cheeks be soft. Let the ribs melt down into the mat. So there's a sense of being planted. And And when you feel that sense of connection and rootedness, it's a little bit easier to travel into unfamiliar places with the body. Never moving into pain, but allowing discomfort, acknowledging the sensations in the body and the thoughts in the mind without judgment, just observing that they're there. There you go. Travel a little deeper if the space opens up. We're all done. Move the strap away and circle out the foot here. Slow rotations around, just stirring the air. Feeling the shift that being this close to the floor is brought to the body. And then we'll draw the knees into the chest, well, just one knee actually, and begin to hug it in. Just move that away. Hug it all the way in. Maybe bend the right leg. Just that little bit of repositioning of the body allows me to really square across the hips as I draw left hip away from left shoulder and pull left knee in. So massage down into that descending colon, deep release, and then the option if you reach the right leg out, it's a little bit deeper. But you don't have to do that. Have you noticed the shift that comes from that inversion? Isn't it delightful? And then the last little treat for our spine is a spinal twist. So bring the feet down, reposition your body, move away all your props that might be surrounding you, so you've got space to spread out across your arms, and take your feet as wide as the mat. So I might turn towards the left just so you can see what I'm doing with my right leg here. And we'll just hold this one for a few moments. We'll go slightly over if that's okay, everybody, but we won't go too far over, just so we get a little bit of time for this stretch to set. So you can have your arms into gold pose, so those 90-degree bends, or the hands all the way out. Chin to level, feet nice and wide. So what we're going to do is just drop both the knees towards the left, and that might be enough for you. Or you can take that left heel and align it with your left knee. So it'll open you into a more external rotation to the left side. And maybe right hand is going to come down and you can hop your toes up, hop, 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 grab a hold of the toes and redirect the toes back in the direction of your hip as you take your right knee towards the front of the mat. Haha, that is a very good stretch. Now it's okay if the knee doesn't hit the floor, or if there's some unbalancing across the hips. That's what the stretch will bring into change and shift over time. Trying to get the toes to direct in. Yep, that's nice. You can prop up underneath that right knee if it's bothering you having it in space. It doesn't bother me, so I'm just going to let it float there. Take the chin over towards the right shoulder. Breathe across the expanse of the rib cage as you keep the collarbones open. Close down those eyes and get heavy. There is nothing else to do but just relax into the shape of the pose and feel it release the body, breath by breath by breath. Wide open heart. If you joined us for our beginners yoga journey last night, we spent a lot of time opening up that heart space. It's such a glorious practice to have that broadening in the chest. So there's all of that room to feel your emotions and just be in joy. Continuing to let the breath fill the body and continuing to let the breath slowly dissipate and draw out. Just continuing that flow of breath in and out of the body. There's no tension held in the face. We're completely at ease. Right, so come out of the pose. I'm just going to bring that left leg in, and then like a big arc shape, I like to release the right hip out. Find the feet, the span of the hips, the span of the mat, reposition the hips, and then let both your knees fall over towards the right. As we do that, we'll take that variation with the left knee if you want a little bit more. So right knee comes out, and then you've got a flexion in your right foot, knee and ankle align. You're going to scooch down, grab a hold of your left toes, direct them up towards your left hip, open out across the span of your heart, let your chin rest over near that left shoulder. And that's all there is to the posture. And then we just embrace that energetic nature of the back bend, and we relax. Just let the face soften and feel the balance and the exchange of each breath. Come back home to your body in these moments. And let the positioning of the body be restive for the mind. So if you can't breathe as you hold the shape, take a slightly easier variation. Give yourself permission. There is no need to push into places of pain. This is a lifelong journey, one that we approach with sustainability, because we want to continue to be able to come onto the mat and reconnect. There is a real coming into presence that accompanies stretching, because we work with slow rhythmic breathing, because we're down close to the earth, because we're giving the body the opportunity to peel away the layers that can sometimes shield us from seeing those deeper truths inside us. As layer by layer we reveal ourselves, there's a greater ease as well, because we come back home. Deeply planted within each of us are those seeds of peace and contentment. Sometimes we can lose track because layer by layer things are piled upon us. Think of the Princess and the Pea story, all the mattresses that just get piled on top of that little pea. You can still feel it. There is a connection, a knowing that there is a bliss state deep within us. But it is these practices of breathing and stretching that just remove those outer layers, take away the mattresses, so we can come down and find that essence. That little seed planted deep within. So in these moments with the eyes closed and just bathing in the breath, can you return to that center? Give it another 3 breaths here before we release the pose. We don't need to leave that connection of the mind to the inner essence. Engage the core. You can step the right foot in, take a big spiraling arc out through that left leg, reposition yourself in the middle of the mat, stretch everything out, take a deep breath in, and an even bigger breath out, and let everything just get loose and relaxed. and that is our deep stretch class today. We have one premium class happening today. If you'd like to join us in Zoom, they're my new favorite things because we get to see you and connect. And this week you can pop into the store and get a free Zoom pass. So when you go to buy your Zoom pass, it'll actually come up as free until Saturday. There are 2 more practices today, our one premium class and our roll and relax tonight. So grab your foam roller and a ball tonight and join us at 5:30. And tomorrow is Good Friday, so we'll give you a day just to sleep in and relax, and then we'll see you again on Saturday. So whether you join us again today in your practice or you're going forth into your day preparing for the Easter weekend that's coming up, we want to wish you well. Have a beautiful day. Stay with us. Keep practicing. Namaste.